This meeting is being recorded.
All righty. You want me to kick it
Yeah,
off with some introductions?
please go ahead,
All right.
Gordon.
Welcome to the Transportation Committee meeting, April 28th. We'll do introductions. I'm Councilmember Eric Warden.
Scott Diener, council member.
Councilmember Mark Trenary.
And we have Director Dennis Ryan. We have Chris Hammer, Director Bond present today. And the mayor will be meeting us later in the meeting, from what I understand. The agenda. Is there anything that anybody feels we need to add to the agenda, or should we leave it as presented? We're good? All right. Sounds good to me. Updates. Mr. Hammer, do you want to start us off? Any new updates?
Thank you. Yeah, let me. We've been working with WashDOT on their Wolves Roundabout at Mile Hill, and we thought it'd be good just to do a quick overview for the committee here. I just need to pull up the drawing. That's the wrong one. Let's see, I had it on.
I also wanted Chris to talk about that. Chris was pushing for multimodal options, and WashDOT is not favoring that and our advice.
Yeah, in my infinite wisdom here, I guess I closed out of my link, so bear with me.
No worries.
Back to my email.
Why, in the meantime, why are they not favorable towards multimodal?
It's a budget constraint. They'll evaluate it later, but they respectfully said no, thank you. Is that fair, Chris?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that.
Is it
Here.
is it an attempt to push that on those costs onto the city?
Not so much. I mean, they have a project definition. It fell outside the project definition. Um, and they said, well, we're not going to go that far out. And then this last round, they came back and they're doing all we're talking about doing is a road diet to add a bike lane on both sides and not have the additional uphill climbing lane. Let me get to the pavement plans here. Traffic control.
Is there a rough time frame for this project?
This summer,
Yeah,
isn't it?
no, I
No.
don't think it's that quick. Maybe next summer. But what they've done here is you can see here's the roundabout. We've worked with them to comment on the non-motorized connectivity for the sidewalks, and they've done a nice job of bringing that back into the center, which they weren't going to do initially. Adding a good crossing here at a better location. They worked with the district to bring the sidewalk down here to their facility. And my only comments at this point on the bike lanes, the future, well, there's shoulders here now, future bike lanes. They set it up so we can have transitions in the future. So happy with that. They just have a few notes they need to clean up. So that's basically what they're doing is they're putting in a roundabout here at that kind of second major intersection for the mall there. What's the name of that mall? It's on the first right in the corner of Mile Hill.
TSK Mall.
South Kitsap Mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Town Square.
Yeah.
Town Square. Okay. Here's the other intersection for ingress and egress from the mall. And originally they're just going to end the project here, but now they're saying, well, we're going to start the project here and move it this direction.
So Chris, Tremont has sidewalks that double as bike paths in case you don't want to ride with traffic. Will that be the case here? Wasn't quite clear on that.
Yeah. So the standard thing we do at the roundabouts is we give the cyclist an option to ride through with traffic or to get off at a ramp and then, go as a pedestrian. So
Okay.
that's how this one's set up. Now they're not going to extend bike lanes throughout the corridor. They're just doing the intersection. So it's
Right.
more for the future.
So I guess I was a little confused by the upfront comment that they weren't necessarily accommodating multimodal. what element of multimodal are they not?
So that's what this next screen is. So originally they said, well, we're stopping the project up here, short of that other intersection. And now they're like, well, we're going to put in a right-hand turn lane and we're going to restripe this anyway. So it's like, well, you said your project limits weren't long enough to extend the bike lane, so now you're doing this other thing. And I don't personally think this right-hand turn lane is a good idea because, yeah, it feeds you into the mall nicely, but what's going to happen is most of the vehicles, vehicles will come, they'll go on the right, they'll go on the left, and then these guys are going to find out, oh, we don't want to go in the mall. We got to get back in this lane. So it's just going to create a weave situation, more conflicts, and it's such a short distance. So my opinion is it's better to have, extend the non-motorized the bike paths and just have that one northbound lane and not have a separate right turn lane um, into the mall there. And it's worth noting that there's also a left-hand turn lane already, so it just makes it wider. Right here, you can see there's a turn lane here as well. I think I thought I saw an arrow.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Is that roundabout the same diameter as the one on Bay Street?
I think this is more of a mini roundabout than
Smaller?
yeah, that one's like a
Okay.
large medium size, and this is more of a large small size.
And Chris, how far
They call it a compact roundabout, as you can see down here in the description.
how far east are these drawings? Is this project expected to go?
This is it. You've seen the
Montgomery?
limits on the striping plan, so just right past the intersection. It's mostly all about this intersection.
Hmm.
So I don't know if this committee would support my idea, but I think I'd like to push back a little bit to see if we can get the bike lanes here on both sides. I don't know if the directors have any other comments on that, but I just think that's a better design. And
I just think that we're going to see more and more people using bikes, especially with the price of gas and the cost of cars, and well, just the cost of living, essentially. I think more and more people are going to be using bikes, and I think we need to prepare for that.
Would we have to consider the size of the roundabout based off of bike lanes? Would the roundabout have to be on a diet in order to get the bike lanes in there? Or would it be the same size as the one downtown and bike lanes? Would that all fit in there on that footprint?
yeah, so keep in mind the bike lanes don't go through the roundabout. So
No, correct. But the footprint of the area is still only so big. I mean, the high school side's a cliff.
oh, coming down here, yeah.
Yeah.
There probably won't ever be bike lanes on this segment here or this segment going into the mall. It's more going east to west on Mile Hill itself. And they've done a nice job of setting that up for the future.
Yeah, Eric, I think part of the answer, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, is bikers who are comfortable biking in traffic can take over that lane while they're going through the roundabout.
And of course, cars are slowing down, so I mean, there's a little bit of a transition ahead of the roundabout, but a lot of cyclists are comfortable doing that, and it is safer than other intersections for bicycles.
Yeah, yeah. And then they have the option if they're not comfortable using the off ramps.
So the default solution, if we're not successful in lobbying for this, and I've got some ideas on how we might approach that I could go with Mayor and the directors, but we would just someday we could do a road diet ourselves. It's just a matter of striping. We could add a little money to our annual road striping budget or use some portion of that to come in here and grind. But they're already moving the center line and grinding it, which is the most expensive cost. So it's just like, well, why wouldn't you put in the bike lane? I mean, this other thing is just going to cause, I think it's just going to cause confusion and not have a lot of benefit. Most cars are traveling. I mean, some cars, I mean, quite a few cars going in and out of there, but it's mostly about the throughput.
Well, I appreciate
Just one
you
driveway.
advocating for that as best you can.
I think I could support that as well. Get rid of the confusion, the potential entrance of cars back into that mainstream is going to cause some issues, I think, as well, that we can bypass and do away with by just running that bike lane a little farther to the east. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Chris, what
Okay.
I know this is probably a standard question, but what kind of horsepower do you need to try and help DOT think differently about the project? Is that the mayor?
Well, it's yeah, I mean, Dennis and I can lobby the there's a non-motorized group within WashDOT that's there to
Okay.
promote non-motorized things, and so we can lobby them at the staff level, and the mayor can lobby the secretary or others at higher levels,
Yeah, it just seems
and
like
just other people that have influence over the secretary.
yeah, it seems like DOT needs to kind of get current with the way things are going these days.
Yeah, they've
Uh,
been working on it for a while, and they have this, they have this kind of bike czar or whatever, but it doesn't seem to, filter down. And they have kind of conflicting missions, right? So they,
right.
they're concerned about their traffic engineers are really concerned about, you know, the right turn th situation and the uphill climb, and it's just such a short stretch. I mean, there's not going to be much delay anyway, and I think
Right,
in the
right.
big picture, it's there's the benefit doesn't. I mean, there's certainly a non-motorized benefit. There's a little bit of a transportation benefit, but in my opinion, the non-motorized benefit is should outweigh the other. But we'll see.
Yeah, I know they're
Maybe
also
they're
up
thinking
against
of something
budget,
I'm not thinking
so
of too.
yeah.
Chris and I will
All right.
keep pushing at our level. Is that what
Okay.
we'd like to see?
All right. Well, appreciate your ear on that issue, and also just good to get you up to speed with this project. Seems to be shaping up. They're at 60%, and I don't think they're going to build it this year, but possibly next.
And I don't think you already addressed lane closure, but there's no way this will be down to one lane.
It will. Yeah.
Okay. That would freak people out if it were closed.
Yeah. They have traffic control plans in here too.
Okay.
Same thing with the culverts, right? By West,
Yeah,
we're just to close that road down would be a disaster.
unacceptable.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So for stuff like this, so you can see they have a flagging operation.
Mm.
Now, is this already funded? They already have funding for this project?
They are, and they're packaging it with two other roundabouts that are in Bremerton.
Okay.
It's kind of a bigger
Yeah.
package. So it's nice. We're kind of becoming the city of roundabouts. They built another one for us, and now they're going to build this one. We've got, Corner Communities is building some, and
Port Orchard Boulevard
building
and
some,
Bay
and
Street might be one, correct? So a state one.
uh, Orchard Boulevard. Yes,
Boulevard.
but that's not in their current program. But we're planning long term for that as we do the culvert.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the hill.
Recollection on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we designed it for them, so they fit it in because we already had
There you
that
go.
study for the pathway, so that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any other? I guess that's it. What I had for. Oh wait, Bethel Phase One. Oh, just to keep you up to speed. So we've been talking a lot about offers, and we've been working away on that. We've had a lot of probably better than half a dozen regular meetings now every couple of weeks with mainly focused on right away. And I was out there last week with the right of way agents talking to different property owners, and they're contacting many property owners. They've contacted everybody, but they're starting to talk about the forthcoming offers with. They probably contacted a third of the property owners or something like that at this point. And I think Dennis, did you just say we signed offers and you said they were in transit? What did you mean by that?
So the city has returned back to TR, our consultant that's working with
Yeah.
SCJC. So
Okay, so you signed the first four batches of them. It
yeah,
sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So we're right getting that launched. We're not getting it launched. We're actually delivering on some of them. So
Are
and
there,
you know what? Since it came up too, we are just making the offer. So when the actual document comes back, it'll come in front of council to approve the payment.
Council Diener, you had a question?
yeah, sorry, I haven't been raising my hand, but I should be. Are there any unwilling participants so far?
I mean, I think things so far, I haven't seen anything like open hostilities or anything. It seems to be everybody's pretty constructive. I don't know that anybody is really excited about this, right? I mean, they're having to give up property. And nobody, that's a territorial thing. We're all instinctively territorial, so nobody's going to like it, even though in some situations they may benefit from it, especially when they get their frontage improvements done, and
Mm-hmm.
then they could turn around and sell their property for more in a commercial zone and things like that. But from a price standpoint, but there's a lot of people don't want to move either. They just want to be there and they want something less intrusive. So
Mhm.
Have the offers so far been to that we've gotten good feedback from commercial or just residential?
I think it's mostly been, well, no, it's been both. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was out last week, I mean, it was about half and half.
Yeah.
So we've talked to I know the one property owner there with the, um, was it the Bethel little strip center there?
Yep.
They're one of the ones you guys were concerned about, and I think
Big
that was a pretty constructive thing there. They have a lot of family members that have interest in what's going on there, and we were able to go over in more detail the parking lot options, and they're kind of weighing those and we're getting them more information.
I think if when they realize with the Home Depot going in and the possibilities, including that, I think it'll help them out a lot to ease some concerns.
Yeah, they were asking questions about timing on that.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
and some of those property owners must face issues just trying to get out on their out of their lot, right? Trying to drive out into Bethel. So this will help ease those concerns as well.
I just got asked today, when are we going to get a roundabout at Salmonberry? And I said, it's coming, 2028.
And this is easy to Chris is able to have these conversations with these property owners, and we don't have federal dollars, right? So we don't have to have that extra obstacle where we can't have the direct communication.
True. Mark?
Yeah, how are we doing time frame on this project? Are we on schedule or are we behind schedule? What's the outlook there?
Well, overall, since we started, we're a year behind schedule. But I think over the last couple of years, we're still staying on schedule. We'll just have to see how this right-of-way acquisition goes. It only takes one or two to kind of trip us up, but
Right.
we're still on track for 2028.
We were originally planning to go to construction in 2027, and now we're in 2028. Did you guys cover the Cindy non-motorized already?
No,
Yeah.
Okay. I did. I was late getting here, so I just want to make sure, catch up where we're at.
yeah, sorry. Here, let me. You're. I thought you were looking at the agenda. I had striking here. Let me share here. Can you see the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, that's my talking points. Never mind.
Yeah. I was like,
I can bring up the agenda again.
I have.
I'm good with what you got on your screen. I just didn't know where we were at.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I seem to have lost track of that one too. Okay, so yeah, Sydney, I mean it's the same story there. We continued at we I guess the recent news was that the actual sewer main has been TV'd. It doesn't look like it's had adverse settling, so that's a good news thing. However, we still have issues with the trench backfill. It wasn't done right, and it's still settling. So,
Settling.
Dennis, I don't know if you want to. I know you had some good words for that.
So we're gonna be careful what we say because we'll talk more about this later. We have put the contractor on the notice from the very beginning that it's deficient. We haven't received our inspection reports and the certified materials, so it hasn't passed city specifications as per their development agreement or their development permit. So we are going to continue to pursue that.
So our change order, a portion of that is related to their improper compaction, and our ditch paralleled theirs, and we were getting sloughing from their ditch into ours. So that the item you have on tonight's agenda, and we're intending to we're pursuing them repaying us, but could very likely end up in litigation.
Got.
I think the mayor just answered my question. I was wondering about damages in effect, but thank you.
Yeah.
And
We
I
already
do.
have Go
I
ahead.
think it's also important to, so the our contractor's sewer line, I think, Chris, we were averaging about 4 to 5 feet deep. So the next trench over, which was done by the developer, it's 18 feet deep. So um, it's not vice versa. It's definitely coming from that new fill area.
So are you guys good with this for tonight? Do you understand this well enough? Or do you want an executive session ahead of the business items tonight?
Yeah, I have,
Yes.
I have a lot of questions
Okay.
regarding
So,
that. I'm not going to ask here. So
okay. So, all right. Fair enough. We'll have an executive session and we'll add it to the agenda ahead of business tonight.
sounds good.
And again, it's unfortunate, but we're going to delay the overlay because that's just throwing good money after
Sure.
bad and
Mhm.
potentially more damages and all that. So
Yeah, will we be, I'm going to state the obvious. I presume we're going to be communicating with the school because of the potential schedule and new school year startup conflict.
Yeah. Not much to communicate other than we're not going to pave the road until we get this resolved.
Yeah, but that it might impact busing and so on.
Well, we'll just have a rough roadway until we go
Yeah.
to pave. When we go to pave, then we'll have something to communicate and schedule. And then hopefully it gets solved before the school year, but there's no guarantee.
Okay.
so on to Ruby Creek. This is actually a utility project, but we have an opportunity to address a gap that wasn't really programmed in the utility project. So there's an apartment complex that's to the north of Ruby Creek on Sydney Road, Haven Townhomes, or no, Haven Apartments, townhomes the other side, and they built they built out their half street improvement, and then we're expecting Kitsap Transit to build to the south of the project, but just to the north of the project, there's another parcel that's in between the creek uh, and where the apartment complex was. So there's a section of sidewalk that wasn't built as part of their frontage improvements. So we're thinking rather than leave a gap after all this comes together and then have to come back and deal with it later, it'd be good to get ahead of that. So we're going to get prices for that and put forth a proposal to go ahead and complete that little transportation section of along with the culvert, the Fish Passage culvert project.
Thank you for doing that. I think
And
oh, sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, all good. Would that be a latecomers agreement on that?
So this would be a city project. So it's eligible for transportation impact fee money, but there's no latecomers is more, I believe, for utilities, unless
Okay.
we happen to have perhaps a special assessment for streets or something. But in this case, it's just the city doing the project.
Just impact fees. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not certain that that parcel is developable. It's right along the stream, so I'm not sure we'll see a project there. It might be the parcel that we're going to get donated, Dennis. Is that um, for the and I could be speaking out of turn here, but I don't believe it's a developable. I'm confident that it's not a developable parcel. So
The
No.
piece behind Kitsap,
this, where are we getting that sliver donated next to the
Mhm.
apartments on the stream? Is it up by the road or is it in the back?
if it's the one through the developer or through the apartments, it's at the road.
Okay, so that's that parcel. They're about to donate that to us anyway, and we want it for Foster because we can use it for mitigation.
Okay. Scott.
I just was going to say that I appreciate the city looking at these gaps. I think we should try and fill gaps where we can. Otherwise, we won't get a complete connection of sidewalks over time. So appreciate you doing that. I know that it does cost, but it also helps with pedestrian safety and so on. Thank you.
Mark.
yeah, I just wanted to ask, is the townhomes across the way on the west side still a project that's viable, or is that kind of dead at this point? And if it is viable, is there a way we can tie that last little stub of sidewalk on the east side into the townhome project?
Mark, we are talking about the east side, about tying it in, because on the east side is where the current apartments are, and the gap would be just short of the new bridge. And then Kitsap Transit's going to take it the other direction. The townhome project across on the other side isn't doesn't seem to be moving forward.
Yeah, that's what I need to hear. Thank you.
And when it does, then that'll be part of their frontage improvements. So we'll then lend with sidewalks on both sides.
And we won't have the same gaff.
They'll have to, yeah, they'll have to do the gap.
Right. Okay.
With next topic.
Okay. All right. So Tremont 2 and 3. So I think we had pretty good direction from you all last time around about what you want. I think I'm here to parrot that back with the exception of one ask. Kind of looking forward with potential grants in mind. And I'll have to walk you through that. But let me pull up the plan here. Let's see here. Doing a fabulous job navigating my screens here. Okay, here we go. See if I can get this to a scale that everybody can see what's going on. Okay, so here's the cross section that we discussed here. We do this multi-use pathway on the north side, which is our project, and we submitted a grant application for that. Just so you know, it wasn't going to be competitive as a standalone project, so I had to tie it in with the Port Orchard Boulevard project. There's a multi-use pathway on Port Orchard Boulevard as a road diet that from our prior study, for the waterfront pathway or the Bay Street pedestrian pathway. So combined, then it's more compelling. And there's the potential they could just award the Port Orchard Boulevard one first and then award this one second, or there's a potential they award it all. So, or some piece of this one, we might just get right away, might get something built, and then we might get design right away on this one. So it just depends on how we rank. And if we land somewhere in the middle, we might be able to get some funding, but not all the funding. Anyway, that was the best strategy to try to get what you all said or your priority project for the phasing of the work here on Tremont. And then the other piece we're thinking about, so we're going to set the right-of-way acquisition. We're going to minimize that based on where the current sidewalk edge is here, without any bike lane, or we're planning just for a future bike lane and a sidewalk, just like it's shown in this picture.
When you say planning for, I thought it had to be provided for as part of the grant deliverable.
Well, no, I think this is more of a planning exercise. It had to be, screen. There we go. So, yes, it's more competitive for the grant to be able to show a grant compatible project on both sides of the street, rather than just saying, well, we're not going to build a bike lane on the other side of the street. So that is true. But the point I'm trying to make here is that what we're going to do is we basically committed to putting the bike lane, just a bike lane, a 6-foot bike lane, in the current location of the sidewalk, and then acquiring more property on the south side someday to have a sidewalk immediately adjacent to that 6-foot bike lane. So that's still how our cross section is going to be built out when we build the north side. So that hasn't changed. Down. We're still minimizing the amount of impact on that north side. But in the study, what the consultants are recommending, and I think it makes sense, is to go ahead and show one that we could get the ped bike program to fund. And then it doesn't mean we ever have to get the funding and do the project. That just means we're going to be eligible for future funding should we be able to get funding. And we'd have to build a little bit bigger facility than what we talked about. And we'd still have to figure out how to fit that all in. There might be areas where it gets to be more compact and then widens out, or maybe some areas where we have to deviate into the park, or however, we haven't totally, that's not fully baked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think anyway, just that's different than the direction I had. So I thought it was important to come back to the committee and say, are you guys okay with that? If you're not, I can totally correct course and go back to the way we had originally discussed.
Well,
Uh, Mayor?
So I just want to make sure I understand here, Chris. So what you're calling for in the design is a phased project that, I mean, in the perfect world, there's unlimited dollars available and we'd have money to do everything. But
Right.
we know that's not reality, that there's um, a finite amount of money and so in the scenario that we only have enough dollars to build something, we would either be the boulevard, it could be the boulevard and what you're calling phase one, which is the left side of the screen, and we would have a future phase uh, for the other side that we would compete for potentially later. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
correct. And probably not in our lifetimes, right? That's a very long-term vision. The other two priority projects we have are the intersections. So, if we go on getting a project every 10 years, it's going to be by the time we get into this side, we're talking about 40 years from now or something, right? So, but it really just helps us kind of have a vision for something that we can fund. That's the kind of the direction that the facilities are going in for the grant money that will be available now and in the future. And we potentially could go back to just funding it ourselves with impact fees and build a 6-foot bike lane with a 6-foot sidewalk, but we're probably not going to get grant programs to pay for that.
Scott?
so it would be helpful for me if we could see what the last profile we landed on. Because I
There
know
was
that there
nothing
were
on the
several.
right side and everything on the left side.
Well, I thought,
Well, that was one of them, but then we also
yeah,
had tacked on at the end of the last committee meeting that we would provide a bike lane
bike lane.
Yeah.
because remember we had our comp plan called for a bike lane, so we didn't want to redo our comp plan to take a bike lane away.
I thought
So
I thought we had to have a bike lane to score well
that's
enough
what I
to
thought.
receive a grant.
It helps. Yeah, I mean, this is the cross section I submitted with the grant application.
I mean, I mean, you say it helps, but don't you think it's a significant difference in?
It helps for the stuff that's on the north side. We would not get funding for the stuff that's on the south side.
I'm
We're really
following.
going for the north side right now, but it helps because it demonstrates that we're going to build out facilities in our long-term plan that match the program.
Okay.
If we can get them funded.
Yeah,
And probably it's lesser priority. It's phase 4 of multiple phases on this corridor. And again, it's going to be many years before it gets built, but it's just a strategic thing, really, is what it is.
yeah. I'll just go back to, how we did Tremont, the first phase, and how it has dedicated lanes, and then we go to future phases and they're terminated. And I don't think that's a good look on the ground or with the biking community, but I've said that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What if
that's
your
the
boulevard-
downside of the cost of these things, right? We can't get enough money to do it all at one time. Otherwise, we put the bike lane on one side and the multi-use pathway on the other and have complete bike facilities as we do each segment.
The Portraiture Boulevard conversation that was mentioned earlier, that's a relatively inexpensive process, isn't it?
It is. It was just a few $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty doable one. I thought we were trying to put them in like priorities, but it sounds like Portrait Boulevard will probably happen well before this would happen.
Yeah, I mean, the deal was there is they don't want to build an unconnected facility, right? And they're having a hard time visioning how this ties to everything else on its own. So they basically told me they weren't going to give it the must. We weren't going to get anywhere with it. So we had this other idea and we had other conversations and um, they seemed to like that approach better. So hopefully that'll get us somewhere.
So Scott,
All
this
right.
is giving you something more towards what you want than the prior plan. We're doing something. We have a plan at least for doing something more on the south side than we previously got approval from you guys for.
Yeah, I guess what I heard tonight was that, that future phase might not occur in our lifetimes, and I didn't hear that before.
True.
But we didn't have anything other than a bike lane. We
Yeah,
didn't have a
right
separated
now we
bike
just
lane.
have a sidewalk. It's either
Yeah.
5 or 6 feet.
Oh, I thought we
And
had a
then
bike lane too at the
And then,
last
yeah, for
last
planning
meeting.
purposes, when we left the last committee meeting, we had committed to a 6 foot bike lane, but not this 7 foot and the 2 foot buffer
Yeah.
thing, which is what makes it more grant fundable.
That's a requirement, isn't it? The 2 foot buffer?
Well, we can
DOT.
build to our standards. So if we use our own money, we could put a 6 foot bike lane with a 6 foot sidewalk and do a deviation to not have the planter strip. So we could do all that,
Okay.
but it makes it to build to anything that's going to get other people's money.
Right.
It's going to have to look something like this.
Any other questions? Nope. All right.
I guess, are you guys comfortable with this slight deviation so that we can be more competitive in the grant? That's why Chris brought this back.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's an unfortunate reality, but yes, for me.
Yeah, appreciate that. Again, it's just more being strategic and setting ourselves up for plans that we can fund. And,
Yeah.
like I said, we could always go back, and if we have a bunch of city money and extra tip fees, we could build the way you guys had talked about before. So
It's easier
And
to
that for sure won't be in our lifetime.
it's a lot of projects, a lot of growth, a lot of things we got to do.
it's easier to sell a priority when we have money provided to us, to start it, right? I mean, that's just what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the reality. Is not
Yeah.
too many city projects happen without federal or state funding. So
Yeah, so easier to sell that to the council. Okay, Director Ryan, you are up to bat with pavement preservation.
Pavement preservation, yes. So the city and the county a few months ago started conversations about contracting with the county through our existing interlocal agreement. The county has some funding issues this year, so they have the staff available. They were going to focus on right-of-way vegetation maintenance, but they're interested in keeping their crews skills sharp, paving. They're set up. They have the right hot boxes, and we are looking to go after all our major asphalt repairs in town. It's a pretty big list, about 400 tons of asphalt. The county's price is lower than we could use a contractor with because they don't have the overhead. But yes, so we're looking to start that work in July, and the funding for this is available through our preservation budget. Mayor, if I'm correct, the preservation piece is what we're getting funded with in the new dollars that were awarded to the Bay Street project, correct?
Well, you're asking me no things that I'm not.
Oh,
I know
we-
you have pavement dollars in your budget.
We
Not.
do.
I don't believe we're reprogramming.
We
anything.
were plugging some in for Bay Street, but they've come back available. And if we don't roll
Okay, well,
those.
I think the
Alright.
conversation here is about partnering with the county
Yep.
with the remaining paving dollars that we have, and we'll work with finance on figuring out exactly what those dollars are, and because we
It's
know
more than
paving our
adequate in
streets
what
is a
we need.
priority.
I do know that. So yes.
Yeah.
So,
it's
but
it's a
yeah, so
win-win,
it's-
right? The
Win.
county doesn't have a program this year, and we get a better price. So it just for a stopgap year, it works great for everybody.
Yeah, real quick, Mark. Noah, did you want to add anything? I saw you pop in.
No, I was just
Okay.
listening to Dennis, and I was gonna, the mayor commented very well on what I was said. But I think it is true. We still have preservation dollars from our biennial budget that would go through this project.
Correct. Mark.
Yeah, so I just want to confirm what I heard. Partnering with the county, we're going to get more asphalt for less
Yes.
dollars.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, the county gets a really good deal, and so by not using contractors, which I'm sure there's upcharge, it'll definitely benefit us.
I like it.
My experience.
County
and
doesn't need to
these
make a
are
profit.
repairs. Sorry. I just want to clarify, these are our repairs that we're going after, our reoccurring potholes, the stuff that we get the most calls about. So it'll be noticeable, the improvements that we made after the summer.
Are we going to get more grind outs?
I think you're going to see a lot more isolated areas. There's a couple that it's across the road, but it's mostly going to be isolated. The
Yeah.
things that we pay out, you know, the things we get claims for, things we get calls for, the things that the citizens really notice.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we're putting a lot of our program money into Sydney Road, which unfortunately isn't happening right away, but that's under contract.
Correct. Anybody else have any questions on pavement preservation? All right. Any future topics? Anything we want to add to that?
I just want to talk about Edgeline roads. I think it would be helpful for the city to reach out to Port Townsend and talk about the implementation of their pilot program and how well it's been received and what the learning curve and outreach was for Edgeline roads. Because if you lay those down, people aren't going to know how to drive them. But once they become familiar with them, then I think it really serves to accommodate all kinds of traffic, pedestrian, rolling, bike, as well as serves to control speed. I think it'd be worth looking into what Port Townsend went through and how much effort and cost and outreach this took them. And maybe that'll inform on whether it's something we look at, this summer or next summer or even later.
I think it's realistically at least a next summer thing where we just got an engineer hired and another one starting next week. And, Chris and Christian aren't keeping their nose above the water line right now.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
But remember, the central tenet of Edgeline roads is just it's paint on the road.
Yeah, but you're asking us to do outreach and create,
Yep.
it's just a capacity issue right now.
Yeah, I guess where I'm going is I'd like to know what that looks like so that I can be more informed about saying, yep, it's a capacity issue or not,
Yeah.
or not as much.
Yeah.
One topic I'd like to bring up, I talked to the mayor about it. I think 25 miles an hour on Potteries, that's way too slow. Not way too slow, but it's at least, I think it should at least be 30 miles an hour. That is a crawl through there. And I don't know if it's because the bike paths are there or why it's down to 25 miles an hour, but it's that's extremely slow on that length of a road. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I guess you have to go back to what was the justification for lowering it to begin with? Was that
We don't know.
highway? Was that
We
a
don't know.
highway manual determination?
No.
Or
No,
okay,
we don't have an answer to that. That's why I asked the mayor first before I brought it here.
did the chief?
I
have
think
more?
Chris can speak to it. He's the city engineer, and I think it has to do with the school zones, and then I know there's a pocket where there's no school zone, but it's between two school zones. So, but I'll let Chris.
Yeah, and the basic premise is that lowering the speed limit, people will then drive. People. This is how speed limits are being used today, and it's kind of a departure from the past. In the past, used to set the speed limit and trust everybody was going to go the maximum speed limit, and now the reality is people will go 5 over. So you're trying to keep people from going over 30 or much over 30 when you're posted at 25, and speed when you're mixing pedestrians and bikes, and we have more of that with the sidewalks and the facilities we're building and over time that the speed differential for people that aren't in a vehicle and get in a collision, or it just makes a big difference in the survivability. So it is a preference, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with us going back and doing another traffic study and changing it back to the way it was. We could do that and we could justify it.
Mark?
Yeah, I just want to give a little input. We also have we have a couple of senior centers along there that were quite unhappy with the speed posted at the earlier rate. I think it was at 35. And we had all kinds of complaints of people driving well over 50 on that road with senior citizens in their wheelchairs and trying to stay active out there. We've got a lot more movement of kids. I agree, 25 miles an hour seems like a slug's pace, but it is certainly much safer than it was at 35 previously. So we need to keep the the facilities there as well as the schools in mind when we're thinking about making these type of changes.
For sure. It's also patrolled pretty heavily as well, which makes a big difference. But I think if we upped it to at least 30 miles an hour, it's a big difference. I mean, school's not in session. I mean, seniors, they're not out on the sidewalks. Barely seen one. If so, people like my mom are out there trying to round them up to bring them back into the facility. And school zones lights are flashing. Those school zone hours are very prevalent, but I'd like to see it up to, just because I got to take it a few months ago doesn't mean I'm salty about it. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't mind seeing it at 30 miles an hour. So
I think Chris touched on something though too. I don't believe we just did this arbitrarily. We did a traffic study, and that's how we came. We had a traffic engineer make recommendations to us. Is that not correct, Chris?
Yeah, that's the process, and we'd have to do that again. We have to do the study before we present it to council to make the decision. So, we might look at see, well, what's the compliance like in the school zone before and after the speed limit change. I mean, there's other things we look at. And it is at the end, it's a council decision, and I don't want to tell you that it's a bad thing to do. It's really just more of a preference.
are we going to treat Tremont that way then at 25? I know there's no schools on there. I'm aware, but I mean, are we going to lower Tremont?
Well, a traffic study was done when we did that, and it's got controlled medians. We don't have, it's intended as an arterial. It's a different type of road.
I agree. Scott?
I was going to say, would it be worthwhile to take a look at the traffic study that was done for Pottery and see if the results align with the study? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, the study suggested this for this reason, but could we look at the study to see if everything is in alignment with what we ended up with, 25?
Yeah, I understand that we're going to do that. We'd skipped a couple of years on traffic counts due to equipment issues and a lot of changes in operations in the organization. But I understand we bought new equipment, or we're buying new equipment. We intend to go out there and do the counts and get somebody trained to pull all the data out of there, and it does the analysis, the 85th per ounce of speed, the maximum speed people are going in a certain during the study, the minimum, all these different, get all this different data, and it'd be the same kind of data we had with the study. So we could just, internally we could do something like that if you're curious and looking into that after we do the speed study or the traffic counts.
Dennis?
Chris, I was just going to ask Chris, because it was before my time here, but I was looking at the Safe Scout routes to school. And is this something that we put in there for the funding to make it attractive?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we did put it in there as the
Study.
I think they ask us when we make the applications, but I don't think that precludes us from changing it back, especially if we went from 25 to 30. I don't think that would be anything that they wouldn't come and ask for our money back or anything.
I wanted to remind everyone too that I think when this occurred, there was also, I don't know if you're using Pottery and Sydney Southwest synonymously because it changes names there, but I seem to recall that we had some code language that differed from our posted signs. And so at some point, the incorrect signs had been put up, or maybe when we annexed it, the signs were different than what was put into our code. And I think some of the speed limit setting out there had to do with that. But we also adopted the Ruby Creek sub-area plan, which calls for parallel parking and a commercial storefront designation between Ruby Creek and Sedgwick, where you're going to have people slowing way down because you've got people potentially stopping to parallel park, and it's kind of designed as like a second little downtown. And so maybe today that development hasn't occurred yet, but someday I think that was factored into this as well, at least for Sydney Road Southwest.
Mark? Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, Nick just stole the thunder. He said it much more detailed than I did, but I do remember the study that we did initially, and we do have plans for that parallel parking into Ruby Creek. And we also have to remember when we're looking at this, we've got to look at it as a total street from Tremont all the way to Sedgwick. Because there will be continual builds to the south of the new apartments that we just talked about a little earlier. So we need to look at it, from the 10,000-foot level, if you don't mind my saying so.
Nope. Sounds good. Sounds like you guys gave me some good info on that. That's
And I
really
do recall that there was hesitancy to put up the lower the speed limit till we did the improvements too. So we had held off to do that until the sidewalks went in.
Anything else we want to add to the meeting? To the order,
I gotta go to the order. I'm glad we delayed Bay Street a year, and the federal government's still making me nervous. Chris has been working hard, bird dogging our $3.5 million, and what we've had some turnover at the state, and we've conquered that challenge, but now we've learned that it's been at least a couple of months now, and our award letter still hasn't made it from the federal government to the state. And so we're bird dogging this. I certainly hope we don't have to delay the road further, but we can't proceed until we get that award letter, which allows our local programs at the state to do their piece of our funding agreements. So we're kind of in a holding pattern on that piece of it, and we'll communicate more as we learn more.
I agree with that, but I mean, each year the costs go up more and more on development. So I mean, it could be more than I mean, we don't.
Yeah, we're gonna get there as soon as we can, and we're waiting on a lot of money, $3.5 million, and our latest strategy is to bug our senator again and put her staff on it. We're pretty confident it has to do with all the layoffs of federal employees, that there aren't enough people to do the work, and we're just not seeing our paperwork making it out of Washington D.C. to get for us to move forward.
Sounds good.
All right.
Scott, anything to add?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Mark?
Nope, I'm good.
So, hey, my apologies on the Anderson Hill. I got a little excited about bringing that one sooner than I should have, but we're going to spend a couple more months so that we actually have something for a decision-making process in regards to landscaping, in addition to the traffic operation stuff with that. So anyway, it looks like that's going to be a couple more months. I had it on the agenda this month, but got a little ahead of it.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. See you all in a few minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Do you stop the recording, Dennis?